Mike Irwin's with us here from Pig Trail Nation, and we appreciate you calling us up here, Mike. How you doing today?
Doing good.
Good. All right. So let's see. What stood out from what you heard from Sam Pittman today?
I said more of the injuries this week are on the offensive side, although R-Dub apparently is off suspension, so he's coming back, and I guess they're going to play Braylon Russell, continue to play him more, so they got plenty of running backs. Braxton is still probably out in the secondary, but Clark is probably back, so that's where that stands. There's been a lot of talk about this pass rush and how bad it was, and Taylor Green's running all over the place. He said the problem in many cases is the rush is coming straight from the front, so he doesn't have an opportunity to step up into the pocket, so he's bailing more. So, look, that's going to continue to be a problem. But, look, guys, I watched that game, and I've listened to all the criticism of this offensive line. We knew in the preseason, all I read about was how good A&M's D-line was. 4- and 5-star guys, they're going to tear it up. And they, frankly, have been disappointing so far, but not in this game. They played really well. And I thought Arkansas had its moments. They had the lead for most of the game. They certainly took the lead in the fourth quarter. And I think the way the defense was playing, I expected them to be able to hold that, and couldn't believe what happened right after they got that lead when A&M just ran the ball right down Arkansas's throat, until I realized, listening to the press conference, that they had put the second unit in there along the D-line. Pittman said he just felt like they fresh would be better than the starters fatigued. And then he ended up saying today that when they realized they had a problem, they had substitution issues, and they weren't able to until it was too late. I think that was a major mistake. You can't undo it now, but I think it had a whole lot to do with why they lost that game.
Any positives to take away, Mike, when you talk about we kind of played from the lead for most of it? I thought this was Landon Jackson's best game as a Razorback, especially this season. I thought the execution from Green to Armstrong when it's third down and their timing and the rapport that they have, it continues to blossom. I thought Satania, I thought he was a difference maker in the first half, and it's like we faded him in the second half for some reason. I thought he was close. I thought he was close to breaking one. You'd have liked to seen him get the ball to Satania a little bit more. And then, well, I don't understand why we abandoned the run game in a one-score game.
I think they were having trouble running the ball. I think A&M was probably saying, hey, we're going to stop you from running and force you to throw and then put a pass rush on you. I thought Tesla had his best game. But there were some positives there. Here's my evaluation, and a lot of these fans don't like it, but you continue to hold this team responsible for what happened last year, so people are saying this year is just like last year, and it's not. But they're not progressing fast enough for some of these guys. When you have a down situation like last year, you don't automatically bounce back from it. I want to go back to 04, and the 03 team lost a lot of good players. So in 04, you had a 5-6 season. Then in 05, it went to 4-7, and everybody's saying fire Houston Nutt. But look what happened in 06. 10-game win season, SEC West champions. Only outright SEC West championship Arkansas ever had. Sometimes when you have a bad situation like last year, you don't immediately bounce back from it. But is the answer to just flush everybody and start all over again? And I don't think that's the answer. I was listening to Quinn Grovey on a podcast he did. He said he liked the character of these guys. I do too. When you watch Taylor Green and you watch how he interacts with his teammates, the fact that they do these prayers after the game, the fact that he goes onto the field with these Bible scriptures written on his back arm, the fact that, when Andrew Armstrong got mad at Keyshawn Blackstock for some of the problems he was having, and they were having an argument on the sideline, and Taylor Green came over there and immediately diffused that situation. I still think these guys are holding together, trying to get better, and to me it's a shame that they have to be held responsible for what happened last year, but that's the way it is.
Well, that's understood. I mean, that's 40,000. That's the 40,000-foot view on things, and the idea that sometimes improvement occurs slowly, but within the context of this season, and look, I agree, I think this is a better team than last year. I think it's a better offensive line than last year, and I think that there's more chemistry and the guys like each other more and all of that. I'm just still trying to figure out, you're going to be held responsible based upon what your record is right now and what your record is on this season. So they're at 3 wins. They got 4 wins last year. And five is not enough to point and say, well, we've improved this year. Bowl game is. Where are the other 3 wins coming from? This is the schedule now just takes an immediate uptick in terms of the kind of opponent that you're playing, the talent level. And maybe that was the truth going from Auburn to A&M. Outside of Mississippi State and Louisiana Tech, you are playing some of the most talented teams in the entire country on both sides of the ball. So, yes, they are improved, but I think people want wins, and that's what they'll point to.
Well, you lost a game that was winnable, so now you're faced with, I think they need 2 more SEC wins. So you start looking at the schedule, where are they? I don't know. Missouri right now I think is beatable. I don't know that they can do that. It's in Columbia, but that would be a nice way to end the regular season. And then you start looking, okay, who else is vulnerable? Maybe Ole Miss is. We're going to have to see how they bounce back. They finally played a real opponent and didn't look like they've been looking. Well, is that permanent, or is that just they got caught off guard? I don't know. What about LSU? They've been a little bit inconsistent. Look like they're playing well right now, but are they beatable? It's just hard to say. But they have to have 2. They have to figure out a way to win 2 more SEC games.
Did any mention of the turnovers and the problems that if you look at it, got to be cleaner, can't keep turning the ball over and expect to beat good teams in the SEC?
Yeah, I don't think that was discussed, but it's obvious. I mean, that's what's hurt Arkansas in those 2 losses, the turnovers. I mean, those 2 teams were pretty evenly matched, and they played pretty much the same statistically, but the difference is A&M didn't turn it over, and Arkansas did. Some of that was, Green got on that fumble. He just got hit from behind. I don't think he knew anybody was back there, and that's a difficult situation. But it happened. I think he is a potentially really good quarterback. He's got some real talent, but it may take longer to develop him. It may take longer to let him settle in, to get comfortable, to realize how he has to react in an SEC environment as opposed to a Mountain West environment. And I've said this before, if it takes him coming back next year, then that's what happens. But he is one of a number of guys on this team that I think potentially are really good, and I would hate to see those guys get flushed because you come in here and get rid of everybody because you're convinced that, we've got to get these fans. I don't know where they think this magical savior is going to come from, this coach that's going to come in and change everything. I mean, you sure got on these message boards, you sure got a lot of names. They're going to go get this guy or that guy or this guy. I don't know, maybe.
Well, people were acting like Bobby Petrino was going to come in and swoop in and change things automatically offensively by his genius and by the idea of what he did as the head coach here all those years back. And it's not necessarily the case. He's dealing with the same issues. You're dealing with a lot of the same issues. And I've wondered, so if you have an offensive line that struggles to pass block, it's not just up the middle, it's on the edges too, on the RPO. It's up to, if you're not going to make personnel changes on that offensive line, you got to figure out something that works, something that this line does well, and that's run block at times. And I think turning a game ugly might actually play into Arkansas's hands at times this year.
Well, and he said, that's one of the other things he said, they don't consider making personnel changes on the offensive line the answer. They think they've got the right people in there. They just have to do a better job. I agree. I think you need to run more. But I think they tried at times, and I think that was A&M's game plan, stop Arkansas. And there may be other teams that now do this. Petrino, people forget that he had a losing season his first year here. He didn't just turn it around immediately. It was a process. It was the second year, and they got somewhat better, had a winning record, but it was that third year when they caught fire, and, they won 10 games and 11 games in those 2 years. I just think sometimes people want a quick, easy answer, and again, the issue is if you start trying to make this team responsible for what happened last year or the year before. And you got to look at this team, not last year's team, not 2 years ago. And we'll see if the point is those guys don't make the decision. There's a guy that gets paid to make those decisions, and we don't have he doesn't call, Under Yurchek doesn't call me up and tell me what he thinks. So I don't know what his thinking is on that right now.
All right, Mike, we'll leave it there because we're right up against a hard break, and I appreciate you calling us up and making some time for us today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Irwin, Pig Trail Nation, with us each Monday on Halftime.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.